Here must have been a final caning in every school that once used the cane. A final slippering, a final ruler brought down across a pupil's hand. At the time, however, those involved probably had no idea they were witnessing the end of anything. There was unlikely to have been a ceremony. Nobody placed the cane in a glass case and announced that an era had finished. Instead, corporal punishment gradually retreated from British school life until practices that generations had regarded as ordinary became increasingly difficult to imagine. The original recollections reveal some of the uncertainty surrounding exactly when the change occurred. Even years afterwards, people disagreed about when corporal punishment had disappeared from particular schools and whether different rules had applied to state and independent education. That uncertainty makes sense. The end did not happen everywhere simultaneously. Before legal abolition finally settled the matter, many schools had already begun moving away from physical punishment. Some teachers abandoned it voluntarily. Others continued using it because school rules still permitted them to do so. For pupils, this created an extraordinary transitional period. An older brother might remember the cane vividly, while his younger brother, attending the same school only a few years later, might never experience it. A teacher beginning a career when corporal punishment was accepted could finish that career in an educational world where striking a pupil had become unthinkable. The speed of the cultural transformation was remarkable. Objects once regarded as ordinary pieces of school discipline suddenly became relics. The cane that had once rested in the head teacher's cupboard became something associated with museums, old photographs, and memories. The gym shoe returned to being simply a gym shoe. The ruler went back to measuring straight lines, and punishment books recording strokes of the cane became historical documents rather than working school records. Yet removing corporal punishment did not remove the need for discipline. Schools still had disruptive pupils. Children still fought, answered teachers back, ignored homework and tested boundaries. Teachers still needed to maintain order. The difference was that schools now had to find other methods. Detentions, suspensions, exclusions, loss of privileges, additional work and communication with parents increasingly occupied the space once held by physical punishment. Whether discipline improved or deteriorated became another argument entirely. Some former pupils and teachers believed the disappearance of the cane removed an important deterrent. They remembered classrooms where merely seeing a cane or slipper was enough to restore silence. Others argued that this apparent discipline had depended too heavily upon fear. Both memories can exist simultaneously. A classroom could certainly be quiet because pupils respected their teacher. It could also be quiet because 30 children were frightened of being punished. From a distance, the two classrooms might have looked identical. The difference was what the children were feeling. Perhaps that is why the disappearance of corporal punishment represented something larger than the removal of a few traditional implements. It represented a fundamental change in the relationship between adults and children. For generations, adults had largely decided what constituted reasonable physical punishment. Gradually, society began placing boundaries around that authority. The cane and slipper, therefore, did not disappear simply because people decided they were old-fashioned. They disappeared because the meaning of childhood itself was changing. And when the classroom door finally closed upon them, an extraordinarily long chapter in British educational history came quietly to an end.